You want to use the N word and you're not black. Well, let's talk about it. What prompted me to do this video? I have this overwhelming sentiment that Americans need to update how we talk to each other, and I wanted to share my opinion on how we could do that. This felt like a good starting point. I genuinely feel like I have a valuable perspective that may be able to help others obtain a better grasp on how to handle situations involving the word. The goal is to advance the culture around the word by establishing what, in my opinion, are basic guidelines in order to provide a bit of consistency as well as developing the culture to include and promote non-black people being, even if just a small amount, more informed about the nuances of the word than they were before. I'd like to help black children who likely haven't yet developed their relationship with the word avoid bad experiences and reduce ignorant use of the word. I am black, and I feel like I'm poised directly in the middle of the classic debate of should or shouldn't they use the N-word. So if I can use my perspective to add to my culture and maybe educate the right people who want to learn, then it's my duty to share it. The word first originated in the 18th century as an adaptation of the word Negro, a descendant of the Latin adjective niger, which means black. It degraded and warped the perception of black slaves from humans to cattle during the period of slavery in American history. I said that to briefly remind people of the word's cultural and emotional significance. Why this word evokes such a wide range of emotions and opinions from black people, and thus why it is so difficult to gain a consistent opinion from the black community about anything surrounding the word. In my opinion, though, this fluidity I think is integral to defining a black person's connection to the word. Hold up real quick. Oh, that's nice. The short version of the most prevalent extremes of the conversation on the N-word internally amongst the black community range between the word needing to be eradicated from the English language entirely, the mentality being, as long as it persists in our diction, our descendants will always potentially live with a self-applied mental shackle and perspective as slaves. While the other side says the word has been reclaimed and changed to create a sense of unity as opposed to dread as it once did, in effect giving us power instead of taking it. Ultimately, this debate comes down to whether one fundamentally believes that we as a community can/should overcome our past or accept our past and move on from it. It's crazy how one word can encapsulate such a dense philosophical question and how it is baked into a focal point of our community. There is no wrong answer here. I personally lean more towards reclamation because I'm personally at a point in my life where I want things to change. I'd like to think that if I can overflow my present and future with good works, that it will outweigh the sins of my past. The heartbeat of this life comes from the helical dynamic of change and growth, and furthermore, how they develop/shape our perspective. I mention these things for the purpose of efficiently communicating one of the most important pieces of information that I hope non-blacks take away from this piece and lay the foundation for the remainder of this video. You could call this Rule 0. There is no general consensus amongst black people on how to handle non-blacks saying the N-word because there isn't one for the use of it amongst ourselves. And in my opinion, there shouldn't be. In light of this, I still believe that there is value in providing a light cultural schematic for non-blacks on how to approach the word as opposed to only knowing that they shouldn't say it. Every person is different. Obviously, therefore, every black person's intimate relationship with the word is unique. A black person's relationship with this word is mutable, will likely develop a number of different directions as they grow older, and changes depending upon a variety of factors, but most often how the individual uses the word themselves, as well as who and how it is being used or said to them. That being said, I'm vividly aware and have accepted that even with these guidelines, I do not speak for all black people or assume any similar stance. I am only one black person making an attempt to positively add to the conversation/culture around the word. Again, I'm only sharing my perspective because I sincerely believe that white people's lives could be enriched, made easier, and also reduce negative experiences regarding the word. In the grand scheme of things, this is still only my opinion, and I encourage you to seek other opinions to gain a more complete view. I understand that there is a segment of black people that may not have a connection to the word at all, and as such, couldn't care less who uses it. Even while I'm acknowledging you, please also acknowledge that the vast majority of black people have some relationship with the word, good or bad. Along that same vein of rogue thinking, some may come to see these guidelines as me trying to affirm the limiting of free speech, which couldn't be further from the truth. I personally am an avid advocate of free speech, so I'd like people to interpret this as me giving you a springboard or a starting point based in knowledge and experience rather than having to guess or make up rules as you go along. I genuinely believe this mindset can generate the most favorable outcomes in the majority of situations where this word is considered most consistently. I am not trying to limit you, but enable you by giving y'all what, in my opinion, is likely the most widely accepted philosophy. Even if you have to think creatively, these guidelines should give you the tools to help you better convey your intended use of the word, if you do choose to use it. And particularly if you're white, help your use of the word come from a non-threatening place. It's unfortunate, but with the current state of our country, your connection to the N-word helps us determine whether or not we think you might house dangerous ideologies within you that could be a danger to ourselves and our loved ones. My hope is to potentially set a path for non-blacks to be able to readjust their knowledge of the word from just a cool word that you hear in rap songs to a more culturally significant personal word that you hear in rap songs. Now that the qualifiers are done, we can get down to the guidelines themselves. These are in no particular order, except maybe in the beginning. Guideline 1. Please don't say the N-word around black people you don't know. The N-word can be like a gun, and if used correctly, it can be used recreationally. If used incorrectly, it could end a precious relationship. Guideline 2. Except that there will be some ways that you won't be able to use the word in some of the more common ways that black people use the word. This is due to if you use the word the way we use the word, it would be incredibly insulting. So examples of this are saying my before the word. Be like, yo, and it's the only time I'm really going to say the word because I really want y'all to know what I'm talking about. Be like, yo, my nigga. Like, if you're white, that changes the entire connotation of that word. I know that's fairly basic, but some people don't know. Some people don't know. Referring to black people as niggas. I don't know if you're with you and your homie and he's black and y'all have an agreement that you can say it around him and it's cool. Still try not to address black people like as niggas. It's difficult for us at the time. It's really based on trust, and if you want to ease their mind about it, then just not even referring to black people specifically. But if you see, like, I don't know, a group of coworkers be like, yo, you see these niggas over here? Like, then they're not black, they're just people. You're easing the process for them. So that's why I put that in there. Using idioms like real nigga shit, or ooh, you on nigga time, or don't be a nigga. Those are off limits. We use those in a very not okay way. They either affirm stereotypes or they have deeper meaning than what we're trying to say. For example, like when we say things like don't be a nigga, it can be, to each other, we interpret that as don't be ignorant, don't be inconsiderate, don't be a bad person, essentially. Don't be one of those people that like don't give a fuck. But like really, like if we're getting really nitty gritty, like that, what we saying when we say that is don't be the type of person that is a product of slavery, of what the police made you, of what the institutional slavery made you. Don't become that. Don't let that overtake you. Don't let that burn out your soul, what you know is good, what you know is right. That's what we really mean when we say that, but it's just trivialized. So please don't be upset when we when we like say don't say things like that. Guideline 3. If someone gives you the okay to use the word one day, they can ask you to not use it later on. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that they stop liking you. It doesn't inherently mean that y'all aren't brothers anymore. Their views could have just changed. They could have had kids. Like, just anything could have happened in their life to have that happen, to have them ask you that. So just don't assume off beat that it's because of something that you did, or that it is what it is. Guideline 4. If you feel like you're comfortable enough to use the word, and like that's your brother, like you got a black friend, like, and that's your brother, y'all grew up together, like that's, y'all really die for each other, and it doesn't really seem like it's a big deal or anything, just ask. Just ask. It's just consider it. Cause you might think you might be thinking to yourself, oh, like he wouldn't possibly like take it like that, right? Cause like he knows me, like we've done this and this together, like he knows my heart. But you like it might have nothing to do with you. It might have something to do with like this crazy experience that he had that day, that he just feel like he's not in that mindset. And then once he hear you say it, you didn't know nothing about that shit, but now he hear you say it, he feel like, oh, that's you. That's how you thought this whole time. And he might equate that to, and it's just ask. It's not hard. It's not. Guideline 5. Don't say it around other non-blacks that you aren't sure if they're versed on the word's proper use, or those that remain purposefully ignorant on how to use it. And on top of that, if you hear somebody using it incorrectly, or like with malicious intent, or like somebody's using it like making fun of somebody with it, and but you know in your heart like that they're using it like to be assholes, yo, correct them. Be like, yo, you're bugging right now. Just stop. You need to just stop. Correct them. Guideline 6. Do not use it on public forums or over social media. This goes directly against rules 1, 4, and 7. And I want to really emphasize this one real quick, because I've had non-black friends of mine like online just kind of lose it and try to tell me what the rules are. What they gave me was like, one time what they gave me was the no, see, the one with the ER is bad, and the one ending in "guh" means friend. I gave them a point for trying, but immediately took it away because the word was still misused. And hopefully, if you've listened up to this point, you have a bit more of an understanding about how this is still hurtful. Once more, like, let's just say it one more time, Rule 0 dictates that because there is no consistent rule or guidelines or anything about how to use the word amongst ourselves, there can be no consistent rule or rules on whether or not or how non-blacks use the word. So to apply the one rule you know to every black person is misguided and inadvised. I have seen an entire video on YouTube dedicated to how a white person interpreted the nuance of the word, splashing the word throughout the video, with my takeaway from it being how they were going to say it regardless because their friends gave them the okay and they weren't going to be censored. That this is how they meant it, therefore that is how it should be taken when they said it. I'm not trying to bash this person, but hopefully you can all understand how damaging a mindset like that can potentially be. This mindset betrayed their ignorance, their arrogance, it was self-serving, and in bad taste. Notice how I'm not calling them like a shitty person, because any one of us can be this way unintentionally. Until this day, I truly believe that person had honest intentions. They just didn't know. When it comes to this, I think I lose people because they think that I am, or black people in general, are trying to control what they can and cannot say, which couldn't be further from the truth. We roast each other all the time. Like, we know that everything is on limits. There ain't no off limits anything. But it's more about respecting us as individuals and our culture and our families. And if you can like accept and respect like Hispanic traditions and cultures and Irish traditions and cultures, and it's no thing because you understand it's not, nobody's trying to control you or anything. Like that's just the way it is. And I hope that it could come down to that same way like that when it comes to the word like this. And there's something else. I'm gonna just put this little subsection under like guideline 6. So guideline 6B, black people. If you're one of those black people that just can't relate or don't have any such like any kind of attachment to the word, or even if you just really are on that First Amendment, don't go around telling white people they should just say the word regardless of anything, of what anyone thinks, because that's actually toxic and like betrays you as well. Like I think that's the most. I don't know. I think that's some of the most like just is that's just incredibly inconsiderate. It's very is like super hurtful. Like why would you like I know just why would you do that? And you jeopardizing them too. The person that you trying to enlighten or whatever you're trying to do. Guideline 7. Please have situational awareness regarding the word. For example, don't yell across the room to your friend that allows you to say it. Just be like, yo, tap that nigga. Like, don't do that. Guideline 8. Obtain a basic historic knowledge. Learning about the word may help you in your use of it, and also like keep abreast on how black people are feeling in general about the word. Just ask. Like there's just no harm in asking. None more than you can do by not asking and assuming. Anyway, guideline 9. Concerts and quoting lyrics. This one is tough, so I'm going to address concerts first. I believe personally that it's at the artist's discretion on whether or not they are comfortable with you quoting the N-word in their songs, at a concert. Like it's up to them. And if you don't know, don't say it. And quoting lyrics, like you're just quoting lyrics. I see somebody like, yo, if I'm quoting lyrics, I'm not saying it. I'm saying like they're saying it and I'm saying what they said. Like I hear you. I feel you. I'm just saying that like quoting lyrics like that is not advised, because you'll probably be breaking rules 1, 2, 4, and 7 all at the same time. Guideline 10. Never use the ER. Always use the ending with the gov version. I know it's very silly, but some people do not know. And I know people are going to be like, yo, like, they know, stop giving them excuses. Listen, I can't be like that. I can't think like that personally. I can't think like, yo, just like people just don't care. That's not how. I mean, like, yes, like you see those memes, like, but like not everybody has your heart. But I don't understand how like somebody could like understand and not know. I truly believe that the enemy of humanity is ignorance. I'm just trying to help. Guideline 11. Don't abuse the use of the word, especially for something as shitty as like to sound cool. Like that itself is uncool. For example, don't be mad at me when I say this, but like white women, like when you're around black males and you're kind of your hood, your culture, you're cultured, but like some of y'all take liberties. Like when you're around your black male friends, like they're not gonna say anything to you because like one, like you're a female, and as we all know, like it's not just been uh black men in this country like that in America that have been like hard done by. It's been basically everyone that's not a cis white male. And that's not to shit on everybody. That's just to make a statement and to kind of still be like, even if you're cultured, like don't abuse like your use of the word, please. And that's because that's the most common kind of like kind of small abuse of the word that I see. It's not like incredibly like crazy, but it's something that I see that I just wanted to like talk about. I'm done. I'm probably missing a lot of things here, and if you have anything to add to this list, Please let me know in the comments section. I would love to have a healthy discussion with y'all. But please, y'all, please. Even if you disagree with me, please be civil. Just let me know. Just talk. Just state your point. You don't have to get nasty. And if you've listening to this point, like, I'd like to thank you. Please remember that knowledge is power. And with power comes responsibility. I truly hope to educate the right person listening to this. None of what I'm saying is new information. I don't want anybody to think that I'm insulting their intelligence or like stealing. It's my belief that even the brightest individuals may need a reminder of the basics every now and again. If you do decide to like heed these words and like pick up this philosophy, I'd like you to keep in mind that not everyone thinks like this, and that's okay. And because of that, you, both blacks and non-blacks, should expect resistance, expect rebuttals, expect people to not understand, and do your best to be patient, and if you can, educate. Because we are living in that time right now where you are the change.